Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Object-Oriented Programming in Java. Now in the prior videos we talked about classes, what they are. I highly recommend watching those. If you missed any of the prior episodes, I'm going to put a link in the description below to the first episode in this series so you can catch up on anything you've missed. Today we're going to be talking about class interactions. In other words, having multiple classes interact with each other. If you want to learn Java programming or just programming in general, subscribe to this channel. We put out a lot of videos that range from beginner topics to more advanced programming concepts. Also, please like this video, share it with a friend, and write a comment as well. It goes a long way to help promote a channel like this. Now, let's get back to the video. So let's do some class-to-class interactions. In the prior video, we created a class called cat. Now we remember what the attributes were. They were name, they were age, and it was sex. And what were some of the methods that it could do? Well, it could talk, which really just says meow, and it can have a birthday. We're going to create another class called a pet store. Now the pet store is going to have different attributes and different methods. Obviously, it's a different class. It's a different blueprint. So what are some of the attributes of a pet store? Well, a pet store is going to have multiple cats. We're going to use an array list for this because we don't know exactly how many cats the store is going to have. Let's take a look at some of the methods. Well, we can add a cat to our store. We can sell a cat. We can take inventory, which is really just going to print out a list of all the cats that we currently have. And last but not least, visit. Visit all the cats. So that's equivalent to, like, say, a customer walking in and walking around the room. All the cats are going to just meow at the customer because the cats are really happy to see somebody. Now on our cat class, we're actually going to add a new method called reproduce. This method will pass in a cat as a parameter. That's the cat that we're going to reproduce with. And the method is going to create and return a new baby cat. So let's head over to NetBeans and try and get this to work. Alright, so here we are in our driver class learning OOP. As you can see, I've taken out all the code, all the testing code in Start that we used in the prior videos. We'll add more later what we need for this video. I also have a class cat. This is no change from the prior video, but I've also created a class pet store. Now for the attributes or instance variables of the pet store, we said that we're going to have an array of cats. We don't know how long it's going to be, so we're going to use an array list. Of course, we need the import. There we go. Okay, so we're going to have our constructor. This will be the default constructor with no parameters. We don't need to pass anything in because the pet store will initially have an empty list of cats. But what we do need to do is create our array list. And there we go. So we now have our array list created. The first method we're going to do is we're going to allow a cat to be added to our pet store. So we have a method, public, void add cat, and we're going to pass in the cat that we want to add to our array list, and all we're going to use is the add method for the array list. Of course, I forgot to specify the type here. There we go. Okay, so we've just added a cat to our array list. Great. Now what we should do is we should actually be able to print the inventory of the pet store. So let's create another method. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop through all of the cats in this array list and just print them. Now we already know how to print a cat because we've created our toString method. So all we have to do is print the cat. So let's loop through our array list. And there we go. Let's run this, see how, oh, we can't run it yet. Why can't we run it yet? Well, we haven't created the pet store. Let's go back to our driver. P equal new pet store. Okay. And now let's do p.inventory. We'll print the cats in the pet store. Now, so far it should be done, right? So let's run our program. And no errors, great, but it didn't print anything because we haven't added any cats. So let's create a cat, C1, and we're going to say that's equal to new cat, and we will pass in Garfield. Garfield can be, well, we'll let the age be 0 and we'll let the sex be random. And now let's add this cat to our pet store. P.add cat, and we'll pass in C1. Let's run. And there it is, the inventory, name, age, sex. What we should probably do is in the inventory method, before we print out all the cats, we should print something else. There you go. Okay, now if we run it, we actually get a better message. Pet store inventory, and then we have the list. So let's go back into the driver and we'll add a few more cats. Okay, we'll notice we're using a different constructor for Sylvester. We're going to tell it the age and the sex, so it's not random. So let's also add all these new cats. There we go. We should see an inventory of 3 cats. Perfect. So now let's add the method sellCat. So we have the ability to add a cat to our inventory. What about selling a cat? So there we go, public void, sellCat. Which cat are we going to sell? Well, let's pass in the cat that we want to sell. And all we're going to do is remove the cat from the array list. Let's go back to our driver. Let's sell the cat. So we've added cat 1, 2, 3, printed the inventory. Let's sell the cat, p.sellCat. Let's sell, how about we sell Garfield? And now let's do inventory again. So when we run this, you should see, here's our inventory, all 3 cats. We sold Garfield. Garfield's no longer in the inventory. Well, looks pretty good to me. Now let's create the method visitAll. That was where we simulated a customer walking in and walking around and visiting all the cats, and the cats talk. Of course, we're going to loop through all of our cats, so we can copy this code right here. But instead of printing the cat, we're going to tell the cat to talk. Because the cat's so happy that there's a visitor looking to buy him or her. All right, let's go back to our driver. After we do this, let's call that method, and we'll run. And here we go. Here's our inventory. We sold Garfield. Here's our new inventory. And now we visit all the cats. So each cat in turn will meow. All right. So what we're going to do now is add a method to our cat class. We're going to allow a cat to reproduce. So let's create a method. It's going to return the new cat that was actually born. And we have to pass in the cat that we're going to reproduce with. So we're in a cat. We're passed in another cat that we're going to reproduce with. We're going to create a new cat, baby kitty, and return it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to declare a variable, kitty. That's going to be equal to a new cat. We're going to pass in, oh, and I'm sorry, the reproduce method, we need to know the name of the new cat that's going to be born. So we need to pass in the name. So we're going to create a new kitty. We're going to pass in the name that we want. We're not going to pass in the age or the sex. We're going to let that be random. Well, the sex will be random. The age will be 0, which is correct. When a cat's born, it's age 0, 0 years old. So here's our new cat, and then we're going to just return kitty. Now, the only thing we have to consider is we need to make sure that the cat that was passed in and our own self were opposite sexes. You can't have 2 male cats or 2 female cats reproducing. So we need to wrap this in an if statement. So we're going to say if our cat.getSex is not equal to this cat's sex, then we're going to do all of this stuff. So only if the sexes are not equal. If they are equal, what are we going to return? Well, we're just going to return null, meaning we couldn't have a cat born because these 2 cats are not compatible. So now let's go over to our driver, and we will say, let's get rid of this cell. Let's get rid of the cell. Let's get rid of the visit all. We don't need that. Let's say we want Garfield and Felix to have a baby. So we will say cat C4 equals Garfield, which is C1, dot reproduce. And who is Garfield going to reproduce with? Felix. That's C2. And the new name of the cat will be kitty cat. How about just kitty cat? Okay, so there you go. Now, it's possible that this could be null. right? Because it's possible that these two can't reproduce and have a baby. So we need to check that. We're going to say if C4 is not null, then what are we going to do? If C4 is not null, that means a new cat was born, which means we have to add it to the pet store. But if C4 is null, a cat was not born, we don't add it to the pet store. And then let's show the inventory. Let's see what happens. So let's run this. So we have Garfield is male, Felix is female, they have a baby, and there's the baby. Perfect. Let's try it again. This time Garfield is male, Felix is male. We try to have them have a baby, but that doesn't work, obviously. They're both male. So no change to the pet store. And that's how classes interact. I hope you learned something from watching this video. Please remember to subscribe and share this video with others who are learning Java programming. Thanks for watching, and take care, everyone.